Hey, this is JJ with today's dose of taking the babble out of technobabble. Today, we're going to talk about upgrading your computer's memory the right way. Anyone with a minor amount of physical dexterity can replace computer memory in a few minutes. But if it's not done right, it can cost you time, money, and possibly damage your computer. And that's what we're going to talk about today. First of all, what is memory? A lot of people get memory confused with hard drive space. Memory is temporary. Hard drive space is permanent. When you create a file and save it on your hard drive, it stays there even after you turn your computer off. Memory is just temporary storage space for whatever you happen to be working on at the time. If you're working on a Word document, your memory is filled with the Microsoft Word program and whatever's in that Word document. When you close that Word document and Word, it leaves your memory and is stored on your computer's hard drive. The reason we use memory instead of always using the hard drive for everything is memory is way faster than your hard drive and can handle rapidly changing data and programs much better. Memory also gets used up much faster than hard drive space, and when this happens, it slows your computer down. So the more memory you have, the less your computer slows down. So that's right. Memory does not really speed up your computer. It just prevents it from slowing down. How much memory you need depends on what you're doing with your computer. Your computer's operating system can run on 2 gigs of memory. 4 gigs is enough to run your operating system and most programs. But if you're going to be doing things like gaming, graphic editing, or video editing, you're going to need a lot more memory, probably a minimum of 8 gigs. When you're shopping for memory for your computer, it's important to know what the different types of memory are and what type of memory works on your computer. Here we have a stick of memory, and on the side here it says 1 GB PC 3200. Now, if you're like most people who have never really looked at memory before, you're probably thinking, what in the heck is that? Okay, well, if you look at it a little bit longer, you can see that this 1 GB, that looks a lot like 1 gigabyte. Okay, so you're on the right track. So now, what is the rest of this? PC 3200. Okay, so I got this handy dandy little chart right here. Now, I'm not saying that you need to memorize this chart or carry it around with you. Basically, once you look at this once or twice, you'll get the idea and you'll be able to figure it out for yourself. Okay, so what we want to do is we're trying to look at PC 3200. Okay, so we got PC 3200 here. We also have PC 3200. Okay, those are actually very similar. They both have the same speeds here, but they're actually 2 different types of memory. And the way you can tell that is by the 2. And another way that you can tell it, which is kind of hard with this particular type of memory, is by this little slot down here. Okay, the reason they do this is because DDR2 memory does not work in a computer that is designed for DDR. Same thing with DDR3. DDR3 is not going to work in this, and DDR4 is not going to work in here. It's just not going to do it. They're designed for different architectures. Yes, this is the same speed as this, but these are 2 different types of memory. There's actually a different number of pins here. I think this is like 184 pins on this one, and this is 240 pins over here. So, I mean, it's easy to make this mistake, but if you're aware of what it is you're looking for, you're less liable to come home disappointed because this new memory that you bought will not fit into the slot in your computer. Okay, now the next thing I want to say is, say you get to the point where you know you need some DDR2 memory. And you're like, well, I have DDR2 400, but this DDR 800 is twice as fast. So I'm just going to get some 800 and stick it in there and my computer will be twice as fast. That's the temptation a lot of people have. Okay, well, no, that's not the way it works. Okay, now you may be able to stick this into your computer here. It may fit. Your computer may turn on and it may run, but your computer is going to default back to its original bus speed. Okay, it'll allow this additional memory to run, may or may not allow it to run, but you're not really getting anything. So basically what you want to do is when you're upgrading memory is you want to stick to the exact type of memory your computer is designed for, and then just get more of it. If you have 2 gigs of DDR2 400, get 4 gigs of DDR2 400, or get 8 gigs of DDR2 400. That's the proper way to upgrade your memory. So now you may be wondering, how do I know what kind of memory I have in my computer to begin with? And for that matter, how do I know how many sticks of memory I need and how many open slots do I have available? Another valid question at this point is, how do I even know memory is my problem? How do I know memory is actually the bottleneck which is slowing my computer down? Okay, well, a quick way to do that is to go to Task Manager. Now this is going to look a little bit different on Windows 7 or other operating systems, but it amounts to the same thing. You basically take your mouse and you go down here and you right click and you go Task Manager. You go to Performance and you've got all of these little selections over here, and you know this tells you how much of your CPU is being used. So right there we had a little spike for when we launched Task Manager. We got memory, we got disk usage, we've got network usage. So you basically just go down here and you look at your memory, and if your memory is way up here, well then you know it's probably time to get some more memory. Alright, now as far as finding out what kind of memory you have on your machine and how many open slots you have available, you can use this little tool called Speccy. Now I'm going to include a link down in the description below so you can get this. It's a free tool and it tells you all kinds of specs about your computer. Here we have the temperature of the hard drives. We've got all kinds of stuff here. So basically you go down here to RAM, then you go down here and you see how many slots you have on your computer. Okay, in my case I have 4 slots, and they're all being used. Alright, so now the next question is, what kind of memory do I have? Because remember, we're trying to get the same kind of memory we have already, just more of it. So in my case, I'm using PC3 1420. I have a part number, I have a serial number, and I have the size. So I can use this information to go to a website and look for the same kind of memory. Now, when you're shopping for memory, you're going to come across some terms that you're not familiar with, such as buffered, unbuffered, parity, non-parity, ECC. The technical details of all these things are outside the scope of this video. All you really need to know is if you have buffered, get buffered. If you have parity, get parity. You always want to get the same thing you already have, and you don't want to mix and match. One thing you need to watch out for is ECC memory. ECC memory is error control memory, and it's mostly used in servers. Now, servers are known to be much faster and more efficient than regular computers. So this brings to mind a story of when I worked in the computer shop. A son brought his father, a father brought his son's computer in and it wouldn't start. So what happened was the son, who was a gamer, heard that ECC memory is faster and more efficient and runs in servers. So servers being faster than normal computers, if you get memory built for servers, it'll help his computer run faster. That was the logic in his head, and unfortunately what happened was the ECC memory, which is wired a little bit differently, the circuitry kind of caused a short in the slots in his motherboard. Now, it didn't short out his whole motherboard, but it shorted out those slots and they could no longer be used for memory. Now, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just trying to show the importance of doing your research, knowing what you have, and going out with a clear goal in mind of what it is you're going to get in terms of your memory. Another consideration is voltage. Voltage is something that's easy to miss. One time I got some memory for a computer of mine, and everything matched perfectly. I didn't notice the voltage. I got the memory home, and my computer started beeping like crazy, and it just wouldn't start. Okay, so I ended up returning the memory and going somewhere else and getting better memory. So it was at that time when I learned a lesson. No matter how much you know about computers, it's always good to use reliable tools. And since that time, every time I buy memory, I go to the Crucial website. The Crucial website has utilities where you can punch in the type of computer you have, and it'll tell you the exact type of memory you can use that's compatible with your system. It'll have different variations, different sizes, and if those sizes aren't available, well, then you can just take that information, those serial numbers, to somewhere else like Amazon and get it there. A link to the Crucial website is in the description below.